And good evening, and welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense, making sense out of the senseless, right here on SHR Media, conservative media done right. Oh, it's a Friday night. How's everybody doing? Tonight's show comes down to one word the political class keeps tripping over: enforcement. From activists who hate borders until ICE shows up in their own neighborhoods, to federal authorities finally shifting towards targeting immigration and enforcement. We're watching hypocrisy collide head on with reality. At the same time, the United States is holding indirect talks with Iran overseas with military leadership in the room for a reason. Strength still matters. Back home, tens of thousands of Americans are freezing without heat while leaders obsess over optics. And the media continues its slide into moral decay, and yet justice still exists. A Benghazi terrorist suspect is arrested. Proven accountability still happens when law enforcement is allowed to do its job. These stories are not separate, they are connected. And this is the Reaver of Common Sense, where accountability matters, enforcement means something, and the nonsense dies screaming. Before we go any further, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and share this stream like your freedom depends on it, because it just might. Every clip helps us punch through big tech censorship, drown out the media noise, and make sure common sense has a fighting chance. And now let's get on with the show. So Iran had talks with the United States, while the United States brings its carrier group to the table. U.S. announced oil sanctions on Iran moments after talks. Iran and the United States held indirect talks in Oman on Friday, and on the surface, the diplomatic language sounded familiar. Calls for calm, complaints about mistrust, promises to consult capitals before anything meaningful happens. But underneath the political phrasing, this round looked very different. For the first time, the United States brought its top military commander in the Middle East directly into the picture. This was not accidental. Admiral Brad Cooper, head of the U.S. Central Command, appeared in Muscat in full dress uniform. Offshore, the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and its strike group sat in the Arabian Sea. Diplomats, already the tongue is broken. Diplomacy was happening. Deterrence was happening at the same time. President Trump's position has been consistent. Iran will not be allowed to sprint towards a nuclear weapon under the cover of endless talks. The carrier deployment followed Tehran's violent crackdown on nationwide protests that reportedly killed thousands and imprisoned tens of thousands. Now we do have Trump gave a little audio clip for the media on, I believe it was Air Force One. Let's get that to you guys.
We likewise had very good talks on Iran. Iran looks like it wants to make a deal very badly. We have to see what that deal is. But I think Iran looks like they want to make a deal very badly, as they should. Last time they decided maybe not to do it, but I think they probably feel differently. We'll see what the deal is. It'll be different than last time. And we have a big armada. We have a big fleet heading in that direction. Going to be there pretty soon. So we'll see how that works out. The stock market, as you know, broke a number that they thought was going to be impossible to break. We likewise had very good talks on Iran. Iran looks like...
All right, give me 1 second. I got to switch mics.
All right, how's that, guys? Because it was marked as the correct mic. Is that better for everybody? Okay, now we can get going. So Trump gave that speech, and thank you, Phantom, for getting a hold of me. I don't have chat up, guys, right now. I'm dealing with this and not really paying attention to chat. It's not that it's not important, just there can be too many distractions sometimes, so I kind of stay away from it. I let the moderators handle it and let the guests have the conversation. So Trump gave that speech. I know it was a lot of basically nothing. In my opinion, he's holding his cards close to his vest right now. He's not exposing what's going on. Do I think that Iran is not backdoor calling, trying to do a deal? Because they know that if the deal's not done, they got to save face. That's what they do. They go out and they lie to their people. And now it's they got to save face. And they're going to tell everybody they're refusing to do anything. But in the back rooms, they're trying to make a deal because they know they're going to get smacked. They're going to get smacked hard. What's going on in Iran right now is kind of scary because we haven't attacked yet. Nobody's attacked yet, but this is what's going on in Iran. I'm trying to remember what building this was. But there's a lot of buildings that all of a sudden have caught on fire. These are all government-linked buildings that have exploded and caught fire all of a sudden. There's reports that Iran is sending its money out the door as fast as it can. Ooh, sorry about that. They're transferring money out. So they know they're short-lived for what's going on. So the Iran government is pretty much collapsing. The U.S. forces recently shot down Iranian drone near the carrier group. Iran attempted to interfere with a U.S. flagged vessel in the Straits of Hormuz just days before the talks began. Those actions framed the discussions before a single word was exchanged. Iran's response followed a familiar script. The foreign minister complained that negotiations must take place without threats and pressure, arguing that calm is a prerequisite for dialogue. That line says everything. Iran wants talks without consequences. Washington showed up with both. The U.S. delegate, led by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and joined by Jared Kushner, offered no immediate public readout. Instead, the U.S. military released photos of the carrier group accompanied by 4 words: peace through strength. That was the message. Iran officials tried to sell the talks as constructive, but preliminary focused on building a framework for future discussion. Oman echoed that caution, describing the meeting as groundwork rather than progress. Translation: nothing was solved. We're probably going to see tomorrow night or Sunday night the attack. I've been watching all day, which would have been their night, the radar over in Iran. It looks like we're testing boundaries, testing radars. We're still pulling in equipment. If you go by past experience with Trump, it's going to be a weekend attack. It's going to be at night, under cover of darkness. So we're not looking at tonight. I myself and Sackhead Sean were talking. We thought possibly tonight, earlier in the week. It's looking like maybe Saturday, Sunday, unless Iran totally bows down and gives the United States everything it wants. But the chances of that happening, Well, I think I got a better chance of dating J-Lo. And that matters because Iran is not negotiating from a neutral baseline. Prior to June's conflict, Tehran was enriching uranium to roughly 60% purity, just shy of weapons grade. The International Atomic Energy Agency has repeatedly warned that Iran is the only country enriching to that level without possessing a nuclear weapon. I'm still got new monitors. Well, one new monitor, got a new one coming. So different setup, trying to get used to it. At the same time, Iran has refused inspections of sites bombed during the June war and continues to restrict international oversight, a pattern that escalated after the U.S. withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal. Regional diplomats reportedly floated proposals for Iran to pause enrichment, export highly enriched uranium, and curb missile activity. Tehran rejected those outright instead of talking about it. And they focused solely on the nuclear file. Secretary of State Marco Rubio addressed that reality earlier the week, stating that any serious argument must include missiles, regional behavior, and nuclear activity. And he is right. You cannot isolate nuclear negotiations from a regime that funds proxies, threatens shipping lanes, and violently suppresses its own population. Then came the punctuation. Just an hour after talks ended, the United States Treasury and State Department announced new sanctions targeting Iran's energy sector, including oil tankers tied to the shadow fleet, trading firms, and executive linked to sanctioned invasion. That timing was deliberate. Now comes the escalation. United States State Department has again instructed American citizens to leave Iran now. It is the third warning that has come out within the last 24 hours, I believe it is. At the same time, reports are emerging of significant fires inside Iran, including a large blaze at a cold storage facility under construction in northwestern Iran. Separate reports indicated that an Army Joint Staff building in Tehran is on fire. Now, I could not verify the cause of these fires or whether they are connected to one another or they just coincidence that they happened at the time they did. What is clear is the sequence. Iran asked for talks without pressure. The United States answered with diplomacy backed by carriers, sanctions, and warnings to evacuate. This is leverage. And for the first time in a long time, Tehran is being forced to negotiate new tongue tonight. Did it? All right. There was a couple other, I think one other fire that was breaking out. Let's see if I can find it. It's not that one. Just give me 1 second. Now I can't find it. But it just seems very, very coincidental that all these fires erupt, as I said, right after negotiations failed. Military barracks, cold storage, all these places, government linked, exploding and catching on fire. That is too much of a coincidence to say it has no connection. It does. As I stated, the government, the top executives are funding money out. They're just shuttling it out of Iran into private accounts outside the country. They know an attack's coming. They know that their reign is over and they got to get out of there with everything that they can now. We have a president that backs up his talk. And that is very useful in negotiations. Because when you have a president that doesn't back up what he says, Biden, when he spews bullshit and never backs it up. Yes, we don't want war. Yes, we don't want to get involved in a long war. This won't be. We are going to smack the shit out of Iran and walk away. and I'm talking with military action, then yes, we should be helping to establish a fair government there. This isn't a regime change. What they are doing is disgusting, and it's been going on too long, and too many people have sat back and watched this. The treatment of the Iranian people is disgusting. And anybody sticking up for Iran, you got problems. And that's where I'm going to leave that. And it's just you got problems if you're sticking up for Iran. And I'm talking the government. The people deserve freedom. And they want it. I mean, how many thousands have died so far protesting the government? So we're going to see what goes on. It's going to be this weekend. Something's going to pop off. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm just taking an educated guess. And let's go on to the next segment. Or should I take break a little bit early? Let's hit the break a little bit early. I don't want to start a segment and have to go into a break. Wow. Come on. So, you're watching the Reaver of Common Sense right here on SHR Media, conservative media done right. And we'll be right back after these brief messages.
Listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
Hey, where do you go when you want real conversation and topics? That's right, you step to the edge. The Edge of Liberty is your home for talk radio the way it was meant to be. I'll be live every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network, and we're simulcast on KLRN Radio. We're building something different, Aaron. We just want you to be a part of it. I'll see you on the edge.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe. Making sense out of the senseless right here on SHR Media, conservative media done right. And before we go any further, hit that like button, smash subscribe, and share this stream like your freedom depends on it, because it just might. Every click helps us punch through big tech censorship, drown out media noise, and make sure common sense has a fighting chance. Everybody, I want to thank the mods. I want to thank everybody that's listening and everybody that's in chat. And if you want to go to chat and be part of it, you can go to YouTube, search for SHR Media, click on the little red circle that says live, and jump into the chat. Listen, I don't care what you have to say. Be respectful, follow the mods, and it's very simple. You don't need to be foul-mouthed. You don't need... I'm not even worried about the foul mouth. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. And we are at 985. We're 15 away from that 1,000 mark. So if you could hit that, like I said, hit that subscribe button. Try to get us to 1,000. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, now back on to the... Ooh, that's why it's not scrolling. So the next subject we're going to get on to is the White House has pulled an offensive, what they thought people are bitching about as being an offensive video, and the media pounces, of course. The White House confirmed Friday that a video briefly posted to President Donald J. Trump's social media account was removed after backlash. The clip included an AI-generated imagery that showed, well, it only showed the former President Barack Obama and the former First Lady Michelle Obama as, I believe it was monkeys. And according to the White House, the video, which some things have changed since this first came out, it was supposedly done in error by a staffer and taken down once it was flagged. The broader clip centered on claims of fraud in the 2020 election, but controversy erupted over its closing sequence, which used stylized animal imagery set to "The Lion Sleeps Tonight." Critics immediately seized on that imagery and labeled it racist. Several Republicans joined the criticisms. Senator Tim Scott called the clip inappropriate and urged its removal. Representative Mike Lawler said it was wrong and offensive and should have been deleted with an apology. At the time, the narrative hardened quickly. Corporate media framed the post as deliberate racial provocation rather than a mistake. And Democrats used the incident to demand sweeping condemnation. Of course, Gavin Newsom jumped on this and called the video disgusting, and outlets amplified the outrage cycle within minutes. However, update context now circulating complicates that framing. The clip in question appears to be a part of a longer AI-generated parody styled after The Lion King. In that video, everyone is portrayed as an animal. Trump is depicted as the lion at the center of the jungle hierarchy. Democrats, Republicans, and public figures alike are rendered as various animals, not singled out based on race. The Obamas were not uniquely targeted within the video's internal logic. That distinction matters. Portraying political figures as animals is not new, rare, or inherently racial in political satire. If the framework applies universally across parties and personalities, claims of targeted racial animus become far less clear-cut. What was present publicly as a racist attack looks, in context, more like a broad parody that auto-scrolled onto Trump's feed without review. Someone fucked up. Plain and simple. Someone fucked up. Shouldn't have been there. Had nothing to do with the post. Had nothing to do with the post. And none of this means the post was smart. It was not. The White House was right to remove it. The Republicans were right to say it never should have gone live from an official account. But the rush to label it intentional racism before establishing context is a familiar pattern. This incident shows how quickly an incomplete clip can be weaponized into a full narrative while nuance is ignored. It also shows how readily the media treats controversy as intent, especially when it is easier than covering policy failures, border enforcement, or foreign crisis. Two things can still be true at once. The post was careless and deserves to be taken down, and the resulting firestorm looks increasingly like manufactured outrage built on a stripped-down interpretation of an AI parody. This was a screw-up in context oversight, not evidence of governance, ideology, or racial targeting. Perspective matters, even when mistakes happen. Come on. I'm trying to. Come on. Got the video. I'm going to play it. And you can take it. You can come up with your own opinion. I know where liberals are going to stand. They're probably flipping out in the chat room right now. Oh my God, you're racist. All right. Sucks not having a producer. Takes a minute to get everything up and running. So that's the big outrage. Small clip of that came out. It is what it is. There's nothing that can be done. It came out. Everybody, the left is going to freak out and call it everything but what it is, a mistake. Now, Minnesota melts down as feds shift to target enforcement under Homan. After weeks of protests, media hysteria, and local officials openly attacking federal law enforcement, the Trump administration changed tactics in Minneapolis, not by retreating, by tightening the mission. Federal immigration enforcement in Minneapolis is now shifting to targeted operation, personally overseen by border czar Tom Homan, following unrest and political pressure from city leaders in Minneapolis. Let's be clear about what happened. Activists and agitators tried to turn routine immigration enforcement into a crisis. Protests erupted. Local politicians fanned the flame. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey even told ICE to get the hell out of his city. So President Donald Trump stepped in and put the adults in charge. Homan was sent to Minneapolis to stabilize the situation and refocus enforcement. The result was not a halt to an immigration law. It was discipline, coordination, and precision. Under Homan's direction, the federal government has shifted away from broad rove patrols and toward targeted arrest of known criminal illegal aliens. Border Patrol agents are no longer approaching random suspects. Instead, they are working directly with ICE to arrest pre-identified targets drawn from public records, DHS database, fingerprint alerts, historical criminal history, and immigration court data. That is not chaos. That is law enforcement. Homan also announced the drawdown of 700 federal personnel from Minnesota, leaving roughly 2,000 officers in place. The condition was simple: continued cooperation with local jails and an end to illegal threats and harassment against ICE agents. And here's the part local leaders did not want you to hear. According to the White House, an unprecedented number of Minnesota counties have now agreed to coordinate with ICE and transfer custody of criminal aliens when they are released from jail. That cooperation is the entire reason enforcement can become more targeted and less visible. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt made it explicit. These agreements are being monitored. Compliance matters. Meanwhile, rumors of internal conflict between Homan and DHS Secretary Kristi Noem were dismissed outright. The message from DHS could not have been clearer. There is one agenda: the president's agenda. DHS officials reiterated that while operations are targeted, an illegal alien encounter during enforcement can still be arrested. That is how federal law works. Targeted does not mean blind. It means focused. The irony is rich. Minneapolis politicians screamed about enforcement. Activists tried intimidation, and the end result was not federal withdrawal, but smarter enforcement backed by better cooperation and real consequences for interference. This is what happens when the theatrics meets authority. Under Homan, enforcement is quieter, sharper, and far harder to sabotage. The targets are criminals. The process is documented. And the law is still being enforced. That is not retreat. That is control. Now, Minnesota leftists discover borders are actually useful. That's the funny part. These idiots, what they're arguing against, they've done the exact thing. And I know, it's different. It's different. No, it isn't. Same thing. A far-left anti-ICE activist in Minnesota went to local television this weekend without a shred of self-awareness, proudly described inventing a border. On Tuesday, the woman told WCCO TV that she and other activists in her neighborhood erected a physical barrier and began stopping people to make sure they had a reason to be there. They were asking for IDs. Yes, really. The entire purpose of the interview was to complain about borders, immigration enforcement, and ICE. And yet, while doing exactly that, she openly bragged about setting up her own checkpoint. Here's how she explained it. We are literally creating a place that we know who's coming in and going in and out of our neighborhood. Listen to that again. I'm going to say it slower. We are literally creating a place that we know who's coming in and going in and out of our neighborhoods. Now explain that to me. Why is it okay for this neighborhood to do it, but not the country? This is the hypocrisy of the left. This is where they expose themselves. She's complaining and locking down a neighborhood to see who's going in and out, which she has no legal right to do. She has no ability to stop and hold anybody. That's actually called kidnapping. She does not have law enforcement powers to mandate ID, to stop these vehicles. And they are stopping people. They are checking who belongs. They are deciding who gets access and who does not. And they are physically blocking those who fail to meet their standards. That is a border. It would be funny if it was not so revealing. The activists clearly believed this was some brilliant act of resistance. The reporter interviewing her never bothered to ask her how her neighborhood barrier is any different from the southern border she despises, or the ICE agent she rails against. And that silence matters. Then it got even better. WCCO's social media team proudly posted the clip on Facebook with the caption, "Neighbors create their own method of public safety against U.S. immigration and custom enforcement as a show of resistance in South Minneapolis." No irony, no skepticism, no follow-up question, just applause. Apparently, stopping people, demanding proof of belonging, and blocking access is immoral only when Trump federal government does it. When leftists do it, it becomes public safety. What is next? A wall? A neighborhood sweeps? Door-to-door checks to make sure everyone belongs? Because that is where this logic leads. Suddenly, photo identification is acceptable when leftists demand it. Remember, the leftists also demanded that we show IDs and show a COVID card, which I don't think I ever carried. Yes, I did get the COVID shot. There is medical reason why I did it. Because some of the meds that I'm on are immunosuppressant. So, my doctor recommended it. I did that and one booster, and that was it. Never carried the card, never showed it to anybody, and would have told you to go fuck yourself if you would have asked for it. I didn't wear a mask because all these masks these people were wearing during COVID really weren't doing shit. Because when you look at the science of COVID and the molecule size of the COVID compared to the blockage of those masks people were wearing, COVID went through like if you were holding fishnet stockings up to Niagara Falls. It wasn't blocking it. What it's hoping is the saliva molecules wouldn't make it through and would trap the COVID. But the COVID was small enough to go through even an N95 filter mask. Those masks weren't doing shit for you. And people wearing cloth and all that and tampon, they weren't doing shit except making you look like a fucking retard. The hypocrisy is not subtle. It is a laugh out loud, obvious. There is something darkly hilarious about watching people passionately enforce the exact policy they claim to oppose, all while insisting they are morally superior. They are not even self-aware enough to notice, and here's the truth they accidentally reveal. Borders are not cruel. Enforcement is not racist. And control over who comes and goes is essentially for any functioning society, even a functioning neighborhood. They proved it themselves. That's the amazing of all this, that they're so blind to the hypocrisy and the fact that they were doing exactly what they were bitching about. And that is the left. They have no sense. It's all emotion. And I see it in chat all the time. I see it on X. I see it in the politicians' comments. I see it on the news. It's all emotion. They claim fact. You can claim anything you want. I can claim I'm the Pope. I love to say that. People, well, Antifa is anti-fascist. I'm the Pope. Doesn't make me the Pope. Just because you call yourself something doesn't make it. I mean, I can say that I'm a goddamn pirate. Doesn't make me a pirate. That's what the left doesn't understand. When you say something doesn't make it true. And they need to get that through their head. I know they're bitching in the chat. You can bitch moan all you want. Because the only thing I see when you come into chat are derogatory statements, vulgar comments, sexual comments, and insults. Guess what? I'm fat. I don't give a fuck what you think. Yes, I got a long goatee. Ooh. Yes, I'm gray. I'm older. Yeah. With age comes wisdom. And these wet behind the ear idiot leftists that think they're so smart, that haven't lived life, that haven't seen what the real world's about, they show it with their comments. They show it with their actions. We see it day in and day out. Right here at SHR Media, we see it constantly. All right, another segment down, another block down, and we're just getting started, even though there's only one more segment left. This is the anatomy of a modern political warfare, and we're only peeling back the first layer. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this message.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? And check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com.
Hey, where do you go when you want real conversation and topics? That's right, you step to the edge. The Edge of Liberty is your home for talk radio the way it was meant to be. I'll be live every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network, and we're simulcast on KLRN Radio. We're building something different, Aaron. We just want you to be a part of it. I'll see you on the edge.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I'm your host, Jersey Joe, here to make sense out of the senseless right here on SHR Media, conservative media done right. And before we go any further, hit that like button, smash subscribe. We are at 989. I would love to get to 990 tonight. Just one more would make my night. And share this stream like your freedom depends on it, because it just might. Every click helps us punch through big tech, censorship, drown out the media noise, and make sure common sense has a fighting chance. I want to thank everybody that's been here tonight, everybody in chat. And I really want to thank the moderators. Again, all I ask is respect. Just respect the chat. All right, I'm going to play a little clip real quick. If you haven't gone here, go to SHR Media and check out the merch store. We have a new shirt, the 250, which is celebrating the 250th anniversary of this country. Ooh. Well, it helps if I had the damn volume on, wouldn't it? Wasn't it? That was a bonehead maneuver. And while you're there, check out the stories. We have two sections on the website. We have the straight story, where it's just the facts, no commentary, just what's going on. And yes, we do have our opt-ed section, but we keep them separate, and we let you know which ones are opt-ed and which ones are just straight out stories. We're out to give you both. So go to shrmedia.com and check it out. Oh, let's see. What are we going to go to next? What is next? Oh, let's spin the wheel and see what comes up. Wait a minute, I thought I moved that. That's weird. Did I just copy and paste that and move it? Yes, I did. I'm an idiot. I know I'm down. But with the topics, I moved one, and I thought I cut it, and I only copy and pasted it. But hey, we're going to jump to New York, and tens of thousands in New York City are without heat, and they are slaying Mayor Mandami. They've had multiple deaths because of what he did change stuff, the executive order on the homeless. And there's a lot of homeless that have died from freezing because he didn't heed the warning from Mayor Adams. This guy is dangerous. And there's talks that there's going to be investigations into him. And I hope, but I'm also tired of investigations that never lead to anywhere except investigations. But tens of thousands of New Yorkers have been left without heat in frigid weather, and the city's leadership is taking a pounding from residents, business owners, and GOP lawmakers. You have garbage strewn all over New York. You have streets that aren't getting cleaned up. I watched as they were cleaning up one street with skid steer, and they picked it up in one spot, drove it 10 feet, and dumped it on the ground again. That was the snow removal. It's like a 5-year-old is in control of New York City right now. And what's supposed to be basic infrastructure has turned into political pain for Madami, whose office is now facing intense criticism over widespread outages, slow fixes, and apparent lack of urgency. Temperatures in the Northeast recently plunged to levels where heat isn't just a comfort, it's a necessity for safety. Instead of being focused on solutions, many New Yorkers say they've been met with silence, unclear communications, and excuses. People are furious, and they should be. Families bundled up inside their own homes have been forced to rely on space heaters, electric blankets, and makeshift solutions, all while watching city officials dodge responsibility. Seniors, children, and vulnerable residents are bearing the brunt of this failure. You know what happens when people start using space heaters and electric blankets like they do? That's how house fires start, constantly. I don't know how many house fires I've gone to that were caused by a space heater. Getting up in the middle of the night, knocking it over, carbon dioxide, dog knocking it over. There's so many ways that can cause issues. And the city is not giving a rat's ass. The city claims that outages are tied to infrastructure problems and utility failures. But for residents living in real cold, excuses don't cut it. When you pay some of the highest rent in the country, you expect heat. Critics say the mayor's response has been slow, reactive, and politically tone-deaf. Instead of showing decisive leadership, Madami has offered statements that many say lack empathy and urgency, leaving residents feeling abandoned in the cold. Then you have, let's see, where are we at real quick? Come on. Then you have a New York Times columnist that says J.D. Vance should have been sold for drugs, and the mask comes off. The New York Times did not issue the statement. A random troll did not post it. A fringe account did not joke about it. This came from a sitting New York Times columnist. Jamali, Bowie. So I'm fucking up the name. Took to left-wing platform Blue Sky this week and suggested that Vice President J.D. Vance should have been sold by his mother for drugs when he was a child. I'm going to say it again. This person went on Blue Sky and suggested that Vice President J.D. Vance should have been sold by his mother for drugs when he was a child. The absolute depravity, the absolute disgust that it would take for someone to say that. I don't care, left, right, center, where it came from. I'd call out the right. I've called out the right when they've done stupid shit like that. And it's absolutely disgusting. Reports coming out that U.S. Navy E-6B Doomsday plane just went dark. Its transponders have turned off. Fifth Circuit Court upholds ruling that illegals can be detained without bond. Sorry, these are some of the things that are popping up I wanted to get before the end of the show. I know I jumped subject real quick, and I'll be going back to the JD in just a second. But Kind of interesting that the Doomsday plane just went black and turned off its transponder. Let me see something real quick. I want to pull up a flight tracker and go over to Iran and just see something. All right, you still got private flights. The airspace has not been closed yet. So that is a pretty good indication. Nothing is going on just yet. And we'll try, if anything does pop off, to jump on the air and let you know what we know when we know it. I'm checking real quick to see what military is in the area. Yeah, daylight's just starting to come over into Iran, and it's dead quiet over there. That's a little spooky. But remember, people, I haven't seen an update. And we're still only on DOCON 3. And if you don't get that, that is in reference to the pizza places that are near the Pentagon. When we're ready for something to happen, and you know it's going to be late night, the pizza places, the business goes out because they're going to be ordering. They're going to be ordering food to get in there because long nights, all that, people need to eat. So you kind of gauge what's going on by the local pizza places near the Pentagon. So right now we're only on DOCON 3. If it hits 2, that's when we really have to start worrying. DOCON 1, and the shit's hit the fan. Seeing NATO's got some stuff in there. Again, like I said, I just wanted to check real quick before the end of the show. But this article from the New York Times, it's disgusting. I would not want to say about anybody on the left. No one deserves that. No person, no human deserves. Well, I could think of one person, yeah. But it's also the guy that shot my father. Yeah. So I think I have a personal right to have a little grudge against that. But this idiot was reacting to an Vance interview in which the vice president declined to apologize to the family of Alex Priddy after raising concerns about the circumstances surrounding an immigration enforcement protest. Instead of addressing the substance of Vance's argument, the writer went straight for the gutter. He called Vance wicked, mocked his facial expression, and then crossed into something far darker. No wonder his mom tried to sell him for Percocets. He went even further, saying he can't imagine a parent who wouldn't sell little JD for Percocets, knowing how he would turn out. That is not political criticism. That is cruelty dressed up as commentary. Vance has never hidden his family's struggle, his mother's battle with addiction that began with a legitimate prescription. Those struggles were laid bare in Vance's bestseller memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, where he wrote honestly about chaos, pain, and forgiveness. He also wrote about something conveniently ignored: love, commitment, and recovery. And that arc matters unless your goal is to dehumanize. And that's all that writer was trying to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Taking cheap shots and just, it makes me sick, anybody that would go to that level. And that shows how little of facts and anything that you have on your side when you have to drive yourself that low. So, Benghazi terror suspect finally in U.S. custody. This is the last segment of the night. Got to rush through it real quick. 14 years later, the message is finally being delivered. Federal officials have arrested a suspected leader in the 2012 terror attacks on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi and brought him onto American soil to face trial. This is not symbolism. This is accountability. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi did not mince words when announcing the arrest. Ala Backlash, charged, yeah, I know I butchered the damn name and I don't give a shit, charged with murder, terrorism, and arson, will now face American justice on American soil. Bondi said, adding that the Justice Department will prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. Her warning was blunt and overdue. You could run, you can hide, but eventually the United States will find you. 4 Americans were murdered in Benghazi attack. Ambassador Chris Stevens, State Department employee Sean Smith, and former Navy SEAL Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty. Their families were told for years to move on. The indictment was filed in 2015 during the Obama administration, then sealed for more than a decade. Justice delayed, justice buried until now. We're going to wrap it up right there. Tonight's stories were not random headlines. They were pieces of the same pattern. You watched leftist activists invent borders while screaming that borders are immoral. You saw Minneapolis officials melt down as federal law enforcement finally applied discipline and precision instead of retreat. You saw New York City residents freezing while progressive leadership failed at the most basic responsibility of governance. You watched the media excuse cruelty when it comes from their side, even when it crossed into outright dehumanization. And finally, you saw what accountability looks like when the United States decided that time does not ease justice. From Minneapolis to Manhattan, from Oman to Benghazi, the theme is the same. Power without responsibility collapses, narratives collapse faster, and when enforcement, truth, and accountability finally show up, the excuses disappear. This is what happens when ideology collides with reality. And that's where we're going to leave it tonight. If you're tired of the hypocrisy, the double standard, and the constant gaslighting, you're in the right place. This show exists to cut through the noise, expose the contradictions, and say the things too many people are afraid to say out loud. Now, before you go, smash that like button, hit that subscribe. We are so close. Every single button push helps, and share the stream everywhere you can. Every click helps SHR Media grow, keeping the show rolling and making sure independent media stays alive. If you want more from SHR Media, you got BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Tuesdays and Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Edge of Liberty with Sackhead Sean every Monday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time. Then you have Mission Ready Men, Big E Jackson, Tuesdays and Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, noon on the East Coast. And Reaver of Common Sense, me, Jersey Joe, every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is where we leave it tonight. This is the Reaver of Common Sense on SHR Media, conservative media done right, where the truth lives and the nonsense dies screaming. We'll see you next time.